Hello, this is a video for Introduction to C++ courses Module 6, and in this video I will show my implementation code briefly and answer these questions. So here's my implementation, and this is the header file which is used by all the source files. And in the start is it macro quadrat or header quadrat called. It is defined, and here's defined the defaults for name and version macros. And here's the instruction which is used. They have not been changed last time. And here's the namespaces which was tasked to get in use, and all the functions are declared inside different namespaces, split by these categories. And all these functions are split in their own source codes. Like this is init game function. These namespaces must be declared here, and the implementation haven't changed since last time. I have forgot to initialize this next round field to true. It gave me problem in the doQuest function because this function doesn't run if the next round isn't true, and it asks these numbers from the player, and the has active players return that if that next round is true or false. It checks all the players array, true that players array, that value, and this is used in the main loop, which is the main loop's condition. And here's the print player stats. It just prints out all the stats using dot notation based on this parameter type. And destroy game destroys all the dynamically allocated memory, which are allocated in the init game function. Here's the game have allocated, and here's the players array is allocated with the new keyword. And the main.cpp have this, its outputs those macro values which was defined in the header file, and this runs the main game loop. It was in my earlier implement in the doQuest function, but it became problematic to be in there after the splitting, because this has active players, which I mentioned, so it didn't know this function anymore after splitting without some tricks. So it is more logical and better to be in here in main. main source file, and this just calls the player, this doQuest function, and pass that current player which is in the round, or it's which player's turn. Consider this I value, and game is passed because it uses these some of the game structs fields. And like I mentioned, this has active players, returns the value true or false to running game struct running field, and that defines is this while loop going to next round or not. And that's for the main parts of this my code implementation, I think. And then I answer these questions. How macro safeguards work in your code when compiling? So, like I mentioned, I have safeguard in this header file. So it works like it is, this header file is included in all these source files. So I'm not sure which one of the sources include this common header file first, but it is only included this first time because of this header guard. It is defined then, and this won't be true after it is defined. So it just implemented it once. And how do you compile your game from command line when it has multiple source files? Well, I just do just C++. This is the G and Y compiler. C++ is for C++ code, and I just select all the .h file. If I show you the files, there are one .h file and others are this CPP file, and there's the execution file already, but I will make it again. If I delete it, the execution file now isn't there, it's only these header and source files, and now I like to do that executable. I made this G++, and if I wanna name it otherwise that just A letter, I put the O flag and give it name for it without the end that data type or whatever file type I mean. And then I just select all .h and I mean star.h and star.cpp. That star means that select all files which have this kind of end. I don't know the word, English word at the moment, but end or whatever it's called. And then I run it. It compiles. Okay, there's if there is some errors in code, those are showed now, but there isn't any. And now we have again that toit.x there, and I run it, and then some firewall and virus checks, but it starts to run soon in this window. like now. I want two players. Player A, player B, easy level. So A guess right and A wanna continue. B guess 4 and it's right. B doesn't wanna continue. A is asked again. 1. I won again, and A doesn't wanna continue again, and it game quits by outputting the player statics and give us bye bye message. And that's for the second question, answer for that. And the third question, how do you pass macro values, this name and version, during compile time, and how they affect the generated binary. So like I mentioned here, I have defined it in the header file to define name toit and define version 1.0, and this works like it search all these name and version tags in the code and replace that tag with this value, replacement value. And I have only used these in the main.cpp file, so it replaces these two with those replacement values. So I think that answers that question, and well, that's all that this for this video. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.